A weaker area but same story. Former President Donald Trump remains frontrunner for Republican nomination with 9 weeks until first votes are cast. Sen. Tim Scott's suspension of his White House campaign on Sunday comes 2 weeks after former Vice President Mike Pence dropped out of the 2024 GOP race. 4 lesser-known candidates who failed advance to debate stage also dropped out of the race as Republican field, which once included more than a dozen contenders, continues shrink. As Jan. 15 Iowa caucuses, which determine the Republican presidential nomination calendar, are rapidly approaching, Trump maintains a double-digit lead over his nomination rivals' latest polls in early voting states, and has a much larger advantage national polls. The big question going forward is whether smaller field of candidates will allow one of the remaining contenders to make it a competitive race against Trump as primary calendar progresses. Trump is still ahead, pointing out that Scott had single-digit support in polls while suspending his campaign. Carney said, Scott's withdrawal from the race will not completely change squad. His support will not change the dynamics much. But Carney also emphasized there's no way to turn this around except with good news for Nikki Haley. Let's see if she can capitalize on it. Haley, a former 2-term South Carolina governor who served as ambassador to the United Nations during the Trump administration, is battling 2-term Florida Gov. Former GOP presidential candidate called some later contestants to follow his footsteps. Trump is already in the final, said Kochel, a veteran of multiple presidential and statewide campaigns in Iowa. And he emphasized that DeSantis and Haley were trying to build a reasonable way to get a one-on-one shot with Trump. This path, everyone agrees, is necessary for any idea that Trump could be dissuaded from receiving the nomination. Fireworks at the third presidential debate held last week. I think it's going to be more decisive than ever in terms of who can bring momentum to Iowa, New Hampshire and South Carolina, Kochel said. Trump already has 1 ticket, maybe 2 more, maybe 1 more coming from Iowa, he predicted. And Kochel predicted pretty fierce competition between DeSantis and Haley in the coming weeks. The 2024 GOP field also includes former 2-term New Jersey Gov. Christie, who has concentrated most of his firepower on New Hampshire, and first-time candidate Vivek Ramaswamy, a 38-year-old multimillionaire biotech entrepreneur, Doug Burgum, who failed to appear in the third debate, and former Arkansas Gov. Asa Hutchison, who failed to appear in the last 2 showdowns, are running long-term campaigns. DeSantis or AMB. Haley have strong enough second-place finish, creating a big enough gap between themselves and the third-place finisher to be able to tell Republicans in New Hampshire and beyond that this is 2-person race. He emphasized. Centers said Haley has clear